Stop. Right now, in a kitchen drawer, an old piggy bank, or buried deep in your pocket change, a fortune could be hiding in plain sight. A single coin, worth thousands, maybe more, and you could already own it without even knowing. Today, on U.S. Coin Archives, we're revealing the top 5 most valuable, ultra-rare Lincoln Wheat Pennies ever discovered. Coins that started life as ordinary 1-cent pieces and ended up worth life-changing money. Some sold for tens of thousands, some for hundreds of thousands, and some are so rare, so legendary, that finding one could change your life overnight. Before we start, go check your change. Seriously, because the coin we're about to reveal might be sitting in your house right now. So stay with us till the end, because number 1 will absolutely shock you. And if you love hidden treasure, rare coins, and life-changing discoveries, hit that like button, subscribe to U.S. Coin Archives, and turn on the bell, because you do not want to miss what we uncover next. Let's begin. Number 1 coin. Inside the massive stamping holes of the Philadelphia Mint, a small bronze disc dropped from the presses and joined millions of others just like it. No fanfare, no ceremony, just another 1-cent coin destined for a cash register, a pocket, a jar on someone's dresser. Nobody in that room could have imagined that a century later, people around the world would be tearing open coin rolls, dumping out Grandpa's old cigar box, and scanning flea market bins, all hoping to find that exact coin. This is the story of a 1925 wheat penny struck with no mint mark, and why an ordinary piece of pocket change has become one of the most quietly obsessed over coins in American collecting. Let's start with what this coin actually is. The 1925 Lincoln cent measures 19 millimeters across and weighs 3.11 grams, struck in a bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. On the front, Abraham Lincoln's dignified profile faces right, framed by the words "In God We Trust" above and "Liberty" beside his shoulder. Flip it over, and you'll find the reverse that gave this series its nickname: 2 elegant wheat stalks curving around the words 1 cent and United States of America. Because this particular coin carries no mint mark, that means it was struck in Philadelphia, the mint that never stamped a letter beneath the date. Simple, right? Not quite. That absence of a mark is exactly why so many people get confused, and exactly why sharp-eyed collectors are searching for the right combination of rarity, condition, and error to turn this humble penny into something extraordinary. Here's where the real story begins. In 1925, over 139 million of these pennies were struck in Philadelphia alone, an enormous number. In raw, worn condition, most of these coins are worth only a few cents to $1 or $2, a sobering reality for anyone who assumes an old coin is automatically valuable. But here is the twist that keeps treasure hunters up at night. Survival rates for pennies in true high-grade, uncirculated, blemish-free condition are shockingly low. Pennies were spent, not saved. They rattled through pockets, got dropped in mud, and rusted in old jars for decades. A coin that escaped all of that. One that still shows sharp strike details, full luster, and nowhere is a genuine rarity hiding inside a supposedly common date. This is where professional grading changes everything. Organizations like PCGS and NGC examine coins under magnification and assign a grade on the 70-point Sheldon scale. A coin graded MS60 to MS63 is uncirculated but shows weaker luster or minor marks. Climb to MS65, and you're looking at a gem-quality coin with strong eye appeal. Reach MS67, and you're in true condition census territory, coins so pristine that only a handful are known to exist for the entire date. And MS70, that's theoretical perfection, a coin with 0 imperfections, even under a loop. For a common 1925 no-mint mark penny, jumping from a worn example worth pocket change to an MS65 or higher example can mean a leap from a few dollars to serious 4 and even 5-figure territory, because grading services aren't just certifying authenticity, they're certifying scarcity. And then There are the errors, the reason collectors truly lose sleep. Double dies, where design elements appear ghosted or layered, off-center strikes, where the coin's design shifts dramatically from its normal position, clip planchets, missing a bite-shaped chunk of metal, weak strikes from worn dies, and dramatic die cracks that create raised, cobweb-like lines across the surface. Each of these transforms an everyday coin into a one-of-a-kind anomaly. Collectors dream of finding a dramatic error variety from this era, because when authenticated, these pieces can rocket in value, sometimes selling for thousands, and in extraordinary documented cases, Wheat-era error pennies have crossed into six-figure territory at major auctions. Some speculative extreme condition, extreme error combinations are even whispered about reaching far beyond typical auction records altogether. The kind of life-changing discovery every roll searcher secretly hopes for. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stacksbowers, and Great Collections have documented sale after sale, where wheat pennies from 1920s in the right grade or with the right error sold for shocking prices, coins that once sat in someone's junk drawer suddenly commanding bids that stunned bidding rooms. And that's the addictive part of this hobby. Valuable coins may still be hiding in circulation today in old collections, inherited jars, and forgotten bankrolls. Every 1925 penny you glance at could, in theory, be the one. Now let's turn to another year, another wheat penny, because the story of hidden treasure hiding in plain sight is only just getting started. Next up, number 2 coin. By 1944, the world was a very different place. War, rationing had changed the very metal these coins were struck from. The mint had shifted back to bronze after the strange steel cents of 1943, giving America a penny that finally felt normal again. But hidden inside this ordinary return to normalcy was something extraordinary, something almost nobody noticed the day it happened. A doubling error on the obverse die, quietly duplicating parts of the lettering "In God We Trust." No mint mark beneath the date, meaning this coin rolled out of Philadelphia, and somewhere in that production run, a flawed die slipped past inspection and started stamping thousands of coins with a secret written right into the metal. Let's look closely at what this coin is. Like its wheat penny relatives, the 1944 cent measures 19 millimeters in diameter and weighs 3.11 grams, struck once again in a 95% copper-bronze alloy after the one-year steel experiment ended. Lincoln's portrait sits on the obverse, dignified and unchanged, while the reverse still carries those two proud wheat stalks that gave this era of pennies its name. But on the double die variety, if you tilt the coin under strong light and look closely at "In God We Trust," you'll notice something unsettling. The letters appear to shadow themselves, doubled and slightly offset, as if the coin is trying to whisper two versions of the same phrase at once. This happens when the die used to strike the coin was itself accidentally impressed twice during its creation at a slightly different angle or position, permanently baking that doubling into every coin struck from it afterward. Here's why collectors are searching so obsessively for this one. Double die errors from the wheat penny era are wildly inconsistent in how many actually survived visibly intact. Most coins struck from that flawed die were spent into circulation completely unnoticed, jingling through cash registers, gas stations, and grocery store tills for decades. Nobody was checking pennies under magnification in 1944. They had a war to worry about. That means the vast majority of these double die coins were worn down, lost, or melted before anyone realized what they were holding. Today, locating one in sharp, identifiable condition is like finding a needle in an ocean of nearly identical haystacks, which is exactly why this variety has become one of the most quietly thrilling targets in Lincoln cent collecting. This is where grading becomes everything. PCGS and NGC don't just certify that a coin is genuine, they certify the strength of the doubling and the overall preservation of the coin. A coin graded MS65 shows strong luster and a clean strike with the doubling clearly visible. Push into MS-67, and you're talking about a coin so well-preserved that experts consider it borderline miraculous for a 1940s era coin that spent its early life mixed in with ordinary circulating pennies. MS-70 remains the mythical, flawless benchmark that collectors dream about but almost never see for a coin this old. A worn, heavily circulated example of this double die might trade for a modest few $100s. But push that same variety into a high, clearly certified grade, and the number can leap into serious 4, 5, and in exceptional documented cases, six-figure territory. A staggering jump for a coin that started life worth exactly 1 cent. And this is where the mint error obsession deepens even further. Beyond double dies, collectors dream of stumbling onto other 1944-era anomalies, off-center strikes, where the design shifts dramatically away from the coin center, clipped planchets missing a curved bite of metal, weak strikes from tired dies, and hairline die cracks branching like lightning across the surface. Each additional error stacked onto an already rare, double die coin multiplies both its story and its price. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have recorded jaw-dropping results for elite double-die Lincoln cents over the years, with top examples crossing into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and collectors continue to speculate that a truly flawless museum-grade example, if it ever surfaces, could shatter every previous benchmark and climb toward multi-million-dollar territory under the right extraordinary circumstances. This is the coin that keeps roll hunters searching bank boxes late into the night. This is valuable pocket change, hiding in plain sight, an ordinary coin hiding extraordinary value inside its very lettering. And the unsettling truth is this: some of these coins are still out there right now, sitting in old coffee cans, forgotten drawers, and inherited collections, waiting for someone to finally notice the doubling. But as remarkable as this discovery is, it is nothing compared to what's coming next. The final coin in this documentary, a piece so rare, so controversial, and so shrouded in mystery that even seasoned collectors argue over its true worth. Next up, number 3 coin. By 1952, America had settled into a strange, uneasy peace. The war was over, but a new conflict was brewing in Korea, and everyday life was filled with small, quiet routines, including the simple act of getting a penny back in change without a second thought. Nobody paused to examine these coins. Nobody suspected that decades later, this very year, struck without a single mint mark, would become a name whispered among serious collectors chasing condition, scarcity, and the kind of coin most people spent without ever looking twice. Let's picture the coin itself. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat cent carries the same familiar specifications as its predecessors, 19 millimeters across, weighing 3.11 grams, struck in that classic 95% copper-bronze alloy that gives these coins their warm, aged glow. Lincoln's profile still commands the obverse with quiet authority. "In God we trust," arched above him, liberty resting beside his shoulder. On the reverse, those 2 wheat stalks curl protectively around 1 cent, a design so familiar it had already become an American icon by this point. With no mint mark beneath the date, this coin was struck in Philadelphia, joining the millions upon millions of pennies produced that year to keep the nation's cash registers running. Here's the twist that surprises so many people. The coin we're focused on today isn't in gem condition. It's in fine condition, a coin that is clearly circulated, showing real wear on Lincoln's cheek and hair, softened details along the wheat stalks, the kind of honest, well-used look that tells a story of decades spent traveling from hand to hand. And yet, even in this humble, worn state, collectors are searching for well-preserved fine examples with sharp eyes, because condition rarity doesn't always mean gem, uncirculated perfection. Sometimes it means finding a coin with exceptional eye appeal and minimal problems within its own circulated grade, a coin that stands out from a sea of damaged, corroded, or heavily worn survivors from the same year. This is where the real story of scarcity begins. Millions of 1952 pennies were struck, but the passage of over 70 years has been brutal. Corrosion, cleaning damage, harsh dipping, environmental exposure, and simple mishandling have destroyed countless examples, leaving far fewer problem-free coins than most people realize. A clean, attractive fine condition example free of major scratches, corrosion, or discoloration has become surprisingly difficult to locate. And that scarcity is exactly what collectors are chasing. Now, let's talk about grading, because this is where perception and reality collide. PCGS and NGC evaluate every submitted coin using the same 70-point scale used across the hobby. A worn coin like a well-preserved fine, example, might only grade in the F12 to VF20 range, worth a modest few dollars to serious collectors depending on eye appeal. But should an astonishingly preserved 1950 2-no mint mark cent turn up in true mint state condition? MS65, MS67, even the almost mythical MS70, the value transforms entirely. High-grade, uncirculated 1952 cents, with full original luster and minimal surface marks have sold for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, because so few coins from common dates, like this one, survive the decades without ever entering circulation at all. And then, of course, there are the errors that turn heads and open wallets. Doubled dies, where design elements appear ghosted and layered, off-center strikes, where the coin's design shifts dramatically away from its intended position, clipped planchets missing a curved bite of missing metal, weak strikes from tired, aging dies, and raised die cracks branching like tiny lightning bolts across the surface. Any of these anomalies, discovered on a 1950 2-no mint mark cent, could transform an otherwise ordinary coin into a rare mint error collector's dream about finding in an old jar of change. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have recorded strong results for elite condition and error examples from this era, with exceptional pieces climbing into the thousands and, in rare, documented instances, tens of thousands of dollars, numbers that stun casual collectors who assumed a common date could never be worth serious money. This is the quiet danger of dismissing a coin just because it looks ordinary. This is valuable pocket change hiding in plain sight, an ordinary coin hiding extraordinary value inside its own history of survival. Collectors are searching flea markets, estate sales, and forgotten coin jars right now, hoping to find a 1952 cent that escaped the decades unscathed, a discovery that could still be sitting in someone's basement today, waiting to be noticed. But hold on to that thought, because everything you've learned so far is about to be tested. The final coin in this documentary is, unlike anything we've covered yet, a piece so shrouded in rarity and legend that even veteran collectors hesitate before speaking its name. Next up, number 4 coin. 1955 was a year that would forever change the way collectors looked at Lincoln cents. Somewhere in Philadelphia that year, a die error was quietly making history, but the coin in our hands right now tells a different, equally fascinating story. This one carries a small letter D beneath the date, marking its birthplace as the Denver Mint, and it wears something collectors call black condition, a deep, dramatic toning that has crept across its copper surface over the decades, transforming its original warm orange-brown color into something darker, moodier, almost haunting to look at. Let's examine what this coin actually is. Struck to the same enduring specifications as every wheat cent before it, the 1955 D penny measures 19 millimeters in diameter and weighs 3.11 grams, composed of that familiar 95% copper-bronze alloy. Lincoln's portrait still commands the obverse, dignified and unwavering, with "In God We Trust" arched above him and liberty resting near his shoulder. The reverse carries the iconic wheat stalks curling protectively around 1 cent, a design that had, by 1955, become deeply woven into the fabric of everyday American life. But it's that small D mint mark, sitting quietly beneath the date, that tells us this coin traveled from Denver, joining the massive wave of pennies struck that year to keep commerce flowing across the country. Now, about that black condition, this is where things get genuinely intriguing. Copper is a notoriously reactive metal, And over 70 years, environmental exposure, sulfur compounds, humidity, and improper storage can gradually darken a coin's surface from its original bright orange red into brown, and eventually into deep, almost black tones. For most collectors, heavy dark toning like this is considered a flaw, something that lowers desirability. But for a passionate subset of toning enthusiasts, a naturally and evenly darkened coin free of spotting, corrosion, or environmental damage becomes something else entirely, a striking, almost artistic specimen with a haunting, one-of-a-kind appearance that no two coins share in exactly the same way. This is where the phrase, ordinary coin hiding extraordinary value, truly comes alive, because a coin many people would dismiss as damaged or ugly might actually be a genuinely rare, naturally toned survivor that collectors are actively searching for. Here's why scarcity matters so much for this date and mint combination. While Denver struck an enormous number of pennies in 1955, natural, attractive, problem-free, black-toned examples in any grade are far less common than people assume, because most heavily toned coins develop spotting, pitting, or corrosion damage that collectors consider undesirable. Finding one with smooth, even collector-grade black toning and no active corrosion is genuinely difficult, and that difficulty is exactly what drives demand. Now, professional grading. PCGS and NGC assign every submitted coin a numerical grade using the 70-point scale, but toned coins require an additional layer of expert judgment, since graders must evaluate whether the toning is natural, attractive, and free from damage. A coin graded MS65 with strong original luster beneath the toning can already command a meaningful premium. Push into MS67, and you're looking at a coin so well-preserved that its toning becomes a celebrated feature rather than a flaw, often selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars to toning specialists. The mythical MS70 grade remains almost unheard of for a coin like this, representing an impossible standard of perfection that collectors dream about but rarely encounter. And of course, we can't ignore the shadow of 1955's most famous secret, the legendary double die error struck that same year in Philadelphia, a coin so dramatic and so instantly recognizable that it single-handedly proved how a tiny die mistake could create a life-changing discovery. That double die coin has sold for tens of thousands of dollars in top condition, and its legend has forever linked the year 1955 with the idea that ordinary pocket change might be secretly extraordinary. While our Denver-struck black-toned cent carries a different story, it exists within that same electric atmosphere of possibility, collectors examining 1955 pennies with extra care, hoping to find doubling, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, weak strikes, or dramatic die cracks hiding among ordinary-looking coins. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have recorded strong sales for exceptional toned and error examples from this era, with standout pieces climbing from a few $100s into thousands and truly exceptional documented examples reaching well beyond that. Trusted coin dealers across the country continue reporting steady collector demand for 1955 dated cents in every condition imaginable, because this year, more than almost any other in Wheat Penny history, taught an entire generation of collectors that valuable pocket change could be hiding in plain sight. And now, we arrive at the final coin in this documentary, a piece so legendary, so debated, and so shrouded in mystery that it may just be the most extraordinary wheat penny story ever told. Next up, number 5 coin. This is it, the final coin in our documentary, and fittingly, it brings us to 1956, a year quietly overshadowed by its more famous predecessor, yet holding its own secrets for those patient enough to look closely. This penny carries a small D beneath the date, marking it as a product of the Denver Mint, and it comes to us in fine condition, worn, honest, clearly circulated, a coin that passed through countless hands before finally landing here, in front of us, waiting to reveal why it still matters. Let's take a moment to really see this coin. The 1956 D. Lincoln Wheat cent holds to the same enduring specifications collectors have come to know throughout this journey, 19 millimeters in diameter, weighing exactly 3.11 grams, struck from that classic 95% copper bronze alloy that gives these coins their warm, timeless glow. Lincoln's profile remains steady and dignified on the obverse. In God we trust, arching above him, liberty resting beside his shoulder like it always has. Flip it over, and the wheat stalks curl gracefully around, 1 cent, a design so beloved it would continue for just a few more years before being retired entirely. That small D beneath the date tells us this coin was born in Denver, part of the enormous production effort that kept American pockets jingling through the mid-1950s. Now, about that fine condition, this coin shows real, honest wear. Lincoln's cheek and jawline have softened with decades of handling, the wheat stalks have lost some of their crisp definition, and the overall surface carries the gentle, worn character of a coin that actually did its job as money. But here's the twist that keeps collectors endlessly searching through circulated coins instead of ignoring them. Even in fine condition, certain 1956, D pennies carry hidden potential because this date and mint combination sits at an interesting crossroads in Lincoln cent history, produced during massive mintage years, but increasingly scrutinized as more and more collectors return to searching wheat pennies for overlooked varieties and errors hiding in plain sight. This is where the real suspense begins. Millions upon millions of 1956 D-cents were struck, technically making this an extremely common date. But common doesn't mean guaranteed boring, and that's precisely the trap so many casual coin holders fall into. Because scattered among those millions are double dies, where design elements appear ghosted and duplicated off-center strikes where the coin's design shifts dramatically away from its intended position, clipped planchets missing curved bites of metal, weak strikes from aging tired dies, and raised die cracks branching across the surface like frozen lightning. Any single one of these anomalies, discovered on an otherwise ordinary 1956 D-cent, could instantly transform a coin worth a few cents into a rare mint error collector's dream about finding. Let's talk grading, because this is where fantasy meets reality. PCGS and NGC evaluate submitted coins using the same trusted 70-point scale applied throughout this entire hobby. A worn, fine-condition coin like ours might grade modestly, worth only a few dollars in typical circulated condition. But should a stunning, fully lustrous 1956 D-cent surface in true mint state condition, MS-65, MS-67, or the almost unreachable MS-70, everything changes. High-grade, uncirculated examples with full original luster and razor-sharp strikes have sold for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, precisely because so few coins from massive common date mintages survive the decades without ever circulating at all. And should an error variety ever combine with that kind of exceptional preservation, some collectors speculate values could climb into serious 5- and 6-figure territory, with the rarest theoretical combinations whispered about reaching far beyond anything currently on record. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections continue reporting strong, steady demand for wheat pennies across every date and condition, proving that collector enthusiasm for this series has never faded. Trusted coin dealers nationwide report the same thing. People are still bringing in old jars, inherited collections, and forgotten coin rolls, hoping to uncover that one life-changing discovery hiding among ordinary pocket change. And that brings us to the heart of everything we've covered today. From 1925 to 1956, we've seen how ordinary coins can hide extraordinary value, how condition and rarity combine to create coins worth serious money, and how collectors are searching relentlessly for the next hidden treasure. If this documentary opened your eyes to what might be sitting in your own coin jar, drawer, or inherited collection, don't just walk away. Go check. Grab your old coins right now and look closely. And before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and leave a comment telling us which coin surprised you the most. Valuable discoveries are still being found today in ordinary homes by ordinary people. So keep checking your coins, because the next life-changing discovery could be sitting in your pocket right now.